Hello, my name is Julio Diaz. Welcome to Guitar Memories. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce you an amazing guitarist, BJ Bridget, right?
BW Bridger.
BW Bridget. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Right now, we are here on Rehearsal Studios, right? It's your project, it's your own business.
Yeah. Myself and the owner of the building, we kind of saw that there was a hole in the market for rehearsal studios, right? There are several really good rehearsal studios around town. I know these people personally, but some of them have just gotten way expensive, just way too expensive for the average musician to be able to come and just, play with their band. People could do it in their house, of course, but most people that are trying to play in a band, a lot of people don't have a house or they don't have the ability inside their house to do that. So, not everybody knew that I had this asset available to me. And I ended up in an argument, honestly, with one of the other rehearsal studio owners over the fact that the guy was charging for a 10 by 10 room, he was charging almost $600 a month. And that's smaller than the freaking bedroom at my house, man. And I don't even have a big house, you know. And I remember not even that long ago, I'm a struggling musician like everybody else. I literally gave up my life to be able to play guitar and play in bands and live that lifestyle because that's what I wanted for me. Being successful at it monetarily is not the point to me, even though I have been able to make money over the years playing music through other avenues like teaching and things like that. But, I got to this point to where I'm watching everybody pay all this money. And a guy told me, he literally said, well, if you knew what it took to run a rehearsal studio, to run a business basically, then, you wouldn't be telling me that I'm charging too much. And the difference is I know exactly what it took because the original jam station, which was in Plano, owned by another friend of mine named Jimmy Orell, who died in 2007, I was there with him from the beginning, from 2001 until he died. And I saw what he did running that studio. I learned from him what to do and what not to do. And unfortunately, in the scenario here, there was just a lot of overly priced, expensive scenarios that people got into. And it's not from any other reason other than the fact that their costs go up. So, in order for them to be able to maintain, they have to raise their price. It's not like these people are bad people. They're not. It's that their scenario is such that it forces them to have to charge what they charge. You know, my scenario is such that I can keep prices extremely low. We run these 17 by 19 rooms for about $550 a month, and we go down from there. That is our highest expensive room is $550, and the freaking thing is enormous. It's huge. So, and we have several of those. And I wanted to be able to give people the same thing I had when I was in my 20s and 30s. You had a space where you could just bring your friends and you could jam and you could write your music and you could do your shows and there was community. We have communal spaces here where there's like chairs and we've got a pool table coming in. We've got just all kinds of really great stuff. We've got a full kitchen on this floor. We have a full kitchen and vending machines. Just all that type of stuff as we're putting that in place. We also have multiple floors of this building. It's an eight-story building. We have multiple floors. We're going to be on the seventh floor. Eventually, that's the next build out after we finish building out on the third floor. And that floor is going to have 75 rooms in it. And the one down here is going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 or so. I think we're going to end up with 50 on this floor. And then as need arises, we can open up other floors and add to it. But this building is going to be called, eventually it's going to be called Jam Station Tower. And there'll be a nice big sign out front that says Jam Station Tower. And it's going to be rehearsal studios. There'll be, little recording studios that people can rent if they want to, just for an hourly for a little while. It's not one of those deals where you can just come in and, here's a recording studio build out, but you got to put your own stuff in it. we'll have stuff in it. You can use our stuff, and you can pay $50 an hour and use the recording studio without having to go to somewhere else and pay them $50 to do whatever. You can do it your way with the good equipment that you would like to be able to use. So that's kind of the thought process of this. It's going to, little creator studios. We're going to have like some podcasting studios and stuff for photographers to use. Just anybody that can use it for anything to record, make any kind of art. The owner of the building is a very creative guy. He's way into creativity. He actually designed the Harry Potter area for Universal Studios. So he's anything that has anything to do with anything creative, he is behind it 100%. So we're lucky to have that. He's a very, very good friend to the creative community. And he's just kind of getting in to know the creative community here. He's only been in town here, I think, 5 or 6 years.
Where are you located? Because
We're in Dallas. This is at the corner of 635 and 35 on the north side of 635 and 35 between Old Denton and Josie Lane.
okay, I will share the address for the people who are interested to be here. Okay, can you talk a little bit about yourself before start with the real questions?
Well, I am just not one of those people. I never have been that kind of followed just how you would think everything should go. I always kind of felt like an outsider. I have a very weird birthday. It's on a strange day that I don't want to say. And it's one of those deals where, like, your family when you're a kid, they're like, oh, we're going to have this great big birthday parties for you, but nobody ever shows up because it's on a weird freaking day. And it gave me this complex as a kid, as retarded as that sounds. I ended up at this complex, and so I just never felt like I fit in. And the things that people liked, I didn't like. And if I tried to play sports, I'm freaking terrible at sports. You can throw me the ball. The ball will get to me, but it's going to hit me and I'm going to drop it. It's that type of thing. If people want to, all the things that guys like to go off and do, like football and drink beer and whatever it is that guys go off and do, dick and fart jokes, just not my thing. I just don't fit in right there. So I ended up in a situation where I saw in probably in the 80s, like 1984, 85 maybe, I was in Corpus and I was like 6, 6, 7 years old. And I saw MTV was fresh, brand new. Like, I actually saw, when MTV started, I hate to say it, I'm this old, I was actually watching television when the very first MTV broadcast happened. I saw that happen. I was a kid. I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand it. But it was just music, And at that time, I was real into, like, the Go-Go's because it was like surf rock, And I didn't even know that they were chicks. I really didn't. I was a kid. I didn't even care, All I cared was they got that guitar riff for that stupid song they had called Vacation or whatever. And I was like, man, this is cool, But I'm watching MTV and I see Eddie Van Halen in that Panama video. And he's like flying across the stage on this deal. And you got Michael Anthony underneath him, like just grabbing his feet. And I'm like, man, I don't want to fly across the stage because I'm afraid of heights, right? But I definitely want to stand there with that ugly ass guitar and do the exact same thing that guy's doing. And it started a steamrolling event that just turned into a life of guitar playing. And, like I didn't get into drugs or anything like that because I figured that it would stop me from being able to play guitar well. I wasn't really good at video games, so I didn't spend very much time playing video games. At least not, like, I could play race car games, but I always time out, you know what I mean? I never win. I don't give a shit. So I would just spend more time playing guitar. I play World of Warcraft now, and that probably takes more time than anything else. But a lot of times I'm waiting for something to happen, and I'm sitting there with my guitar just kind of just dicking around, running some scales, just sitting with it and making the noise, It was just a weird thing. For some reason, guitar just really clicked with me. and music really clicked with me. And it's easy for me to play instruments. I picked up drums without lessons. I picked that up just by conversations with drummers and watching them do what they do. Like, show me a little bit of this, and next thing you know, I can keep a beat and I can understand what they're doing. So that was a great thing. Same thing with bass. Like, a lot of people look at bass guitar as an actual guitar. It's really not. It's not the same thing. You don't play it the same way. It's a completely different beast. But I love that too. And I, learned how to like thump around and just mess around with it. Not the greatest at it, but enough for me to have fun with it, and just exist in that space. I've played bass in a couple of bands. I've played drums in a couple of bands. I've played guitar in a lot of bands. So I'm better at guitar than anything else, or at least I feel more comfortable behind it. But that's just where we ended up, man. And, over the course of time, you just get older, and it's so stupid, but you just get older, and I don't want to say you get better at it, because I don't necessarily think I'm any better now than I was when I was like 30, but I kind of have a different approach to it, like different things matter about it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Okay, V. Well, do you remember when, well, you just said you get click when you saw on TV Eddie Van Halen and flying, and well, but the music click on you, and you decide to, okay, I want to do that. How you start to play guitar? Your parents or your friends?
Well, prior to the Eddie Van Halen incident, I had been like my parents. I grew up pretty kind of poor, and they were they got divorced early, and for whatever purposes or reasons, they would just kind of hand me things to like shut me up so they could just do whatever they're doing. Not that that's a bad thing. Like, I get it. I know people with children now, and I understand that completely. I was a hell of a child, But I would have like toys that were like yardsticks. Like, everybody's got the yardstick guitar, And I would be watching TV. Again, television obviously is what ruined the world. But I don't know if you're probably not old enough to remember that show's called Banana Splits. Do you remember the show Banana Splits? It was a kids show that came on Saturday mornings, and it was this band. There was like an elephant and a bear and a lion and all this crap. And they had this little band, and they would do their stuff. So I had a yardstick that I would act like was a guitar, and I'd run around, with that, acting like I was playing guitar. And from that, I actually began writing like little songs, right? Like little, not anything that was major. I mean, I'm in that 6, 7, under 10 range, not really knowing what I'm doing. And I started doing that, and they thought, oh, how cute. So for Christmas, they bought me a freaking plastic guitar with plastic strings. That you can't tune this stupid thing. It's just a toy, But they thought that was cute, and I ran around with that for a little bit and made a little bit of noise as I could, And that didn't work out well either. When I turned 10, was around in 85, was around the time when Michael Jackson's Thriller came out, that album. And when I say that, people laugh at me when I say that the things that got me into music were the Go-Go's and Michael Jackson and things like that. But, Jennifer Batten played guitar on that, and she is a teacher at MIT, man, and she's fucking amazing. Yeah. Amazing guitar player. And Eddie Van Halen did a lot of work. He did the guitar solos and Beat It for free, I'm told.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to me, that was the sound. Like, there's just something about the sound of a power chord and the feel of a power chord. And the first time that I heard that and I figured out what that was and understood that, that's what got me going on that. And then I understood how, songs were put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was definitely the television with Banana Splits and Van Halen. And it's the crazy thing about it is when I was teaching, I had a lot of people that would say, well, how do you write a song? They ask you the weirdest things when you teach. So, like, what is a note? The hell do you mean, what is a note? You play the note. There it is. Look, here's a note. That's not what a note is. A note is air moving at a particular frequency. And that's what these people wanted to know. Like engineers. Like fuck, you're 10. Fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, but it was kind of, it's that level of just intricacy in it, and you learn how to write songs listening to freaking Banana Splits, man. And as I got older, you watching TV. No one should watch TV. Okay, but as you get older, you're watching TV and you see things, documentaries about stuff, and you hear people talk about pop formula and things like that. That suddenly you're like, okay, well, there's a formula to this. And then in school, I got into choir. Now, I don't really sing all that well, but that's really not the point. You know, you're in school. You know, you got to do something, so they put you in choir, right? And as you're studying actual music and you see things, you see words like verse, chorus, bridge, and you see that these things are arranged and you understand, and you're like, okay, well, this part is the verse part. Then they go to a chorus part. Then they go to a bridge, and then they go to another chorus, and now here's an ending. And kind of like that, it allows you to figure out how music is structured, how songs are structured. And as I got much older, into my 20s, and I started writing music that was just like, I really just like heavy music. I don't know why. It's something about that power chord when you're on stage and it's just, you hit that shit real hard and it's tuned low and everybody hits it and the drums are going and the bass is going and somebody's screaming their balls off. There's something about that. There's an energy to that that is unmatched in any other style of music. And I actually ended up going to school for classical guitar for a while. And I've played classical performances, and there's nothing like being on stage at a rock show playing heavy music. It's not the same. Blues isn't the same. Fusion isn't the same. None of it's the same. Metal is the thing that gives me that feeling that I want, so that's why I do that. So I was listening to a lot of, like, there's a band called Death, right? I was listening to a lot of that, and I figured out a formula that they use. They have an opening, they have a verse, they have a chorus kind of thing, right? And they might do that twice, and then they go to a bridge, and then they come out and do a verse and a chorus, and then you're into the song. Most of those songs are like 4 or 5 minutes long. So I literally began writing songs in that formula. And I've put out a couple albums of songs that are in that formula. But it fits and it sounds good to me. So that's kind of where I went, strangely.
That's really interesting, your story. You know what happened in your and your evolution about the music, right? What kind of guitar do you have for first time? Not the plastic guitar, a real guitar, maybe.
My parents bought me for Christmas one year when I was 11 or so. They bought me a Sears special acoustic guitar, right? And got me guitar lessons. And that guitar was the biggest piece of crap I think I've ever seen. So much so, it was such a bad experience for me that later on, when I began teaching in my 20s and 30s, when I was teaching a lot, if a student came in with a piece of crap guitar, I actually went to pawn shops and I had a bunch of pawn shop guitars that didn't cost me a whole lot of money, but they were good enough to learn on and play on and actually enjoy the process. I would take the student's shitty guitar and I would give them a pawn shop guitar that was good enough to do what they needed to do. You know what I mean? So that way they wouldn't feel like this is impossible, because the guitar I had, it was acoustic first. Not that that's a big deal, but the acoustics are big sometimes. And unfortunately, the strings were so far off the neck, I could put my finger underneath them. Now, I'm in, guitar lessons for that, and I'm learning through Mel Bay's Modern Guitar Method Volume 1, which I think is still the standard today that everybody uses. And it's cool because there's really some great stuff in there. If you're in that right now and you get further into it, and you get into like Volume 2 and further on, there's really cool music in there. But getting through that first, learning how to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and shit like that, makes you want to kill yourself. And one of the things that they introduced was like a C chord, like a C major, which is not hard. It's just a C major chord. Hold it just like that. not that hard on a guitar that's actually set up right. But on that guitar I had, I could not play that to save my life. I just couldn't do it. It was a piece of crap. So even through my guitar lessons, which didn't last long because I couldn't play the guitar teacher was like, this thing's a piece of shit. You guys need to get him a different guitar. And they're like, well, if he learns how to play that one, we'll get him a different guitar. And she's like, well, it was nice having you as a student for about a month, you know? And that's pretty much about as long as that lasted, because that wasn't a thing. And then my dad, who had married someone else, that woman's son had an SG, like an Epiphone SG. I don't know where it was from. This would have been in I would have been like 13, so this would have been like 87, 88. And he gave me that guitar, which I dropped and broke in half. Because I'm dumb as hell. I thought I was cool, right? Like, I've got my guitar, I've got it on the strap, and it's one of those stupid straps that stretches, so you can like push it down, you let go, and the guitar comes back up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm stupid. I'm a kid. What am I doing? I'm being a dumbass with it. And I slung it around behind me, and I bent over to pick up something out of the refrigerator, and when I stand back up, it falls off the strap, hits the ground, body cracks in half, and that was done. That guitar now would probably be worth a lot of money, but I broke it in half, so it ain't worth shit. And then from that, we went to the music shop, and I took my guitar up there, and I was crying. I was so sad because I couldn't really play that much. I could play some power chords because I had learned that a little bit because they had the Guitar for the Practicing Musician magazines, Guitar World, Guitar School, and all that kind of crap. So I learned how to read tablature so I could, pick out, where to put your fingers for, whatever you do it for, like power chord. And I was learning like little Metallica songs, like early Metallica songs, and all the hair metal crap that was happening around that time. So I was sad. I'm crying. My guitar's broke. I'm a stupid kid. And I went to a place called Binion Music in Louisville. And I'm holding my guitar up to the guy, and I'm just like standing there in tears. And he felt bad. So he actually took the guitar in on trade, gave me $75 for it. And it wasn't cracked like here's a little crack, like it literally folded. You know what I mean? It was folded in half. And I ended up with an off-brand. It wasn't an off-brand, it was a Jackson guitar made by Jackson, but it wasn't branded as Jackson. They were called CS guitars. It was a CS 350. It was pink. It looked like a Stratocaster. And it was a nice guitar. This was the first nice guitar I had. And I guess maybe a month later, 2 months later, living at my mother's house wasn't actually working out for me because, like I said, I was hell then. I'm hell now, but I was really hell back then. So I ended up going to live with my dad, and he lived in the country. And there wasn't anything to do out there. I didn't know anybody. So I played on that guitar, just messing around. I knew how to read tablature. I pretty much stayed in my room. I didn't really know my dad that well at the time. And we ended up in a Hastings in Collin Creek Mall, and I saw the Metallica book for And Justice for All. So it would have been about 1988. And I knew what it was because I had learned how to read tablature through my previous guitar teacher by bringing her this book. And I said, what is this? It looks like sheet music. I could read sheet music, but I didn't know what tablature was. And she showed me that it's tablature. Here's how you read that. So I actually learned how to read sheet music in like third grade in school, in elementary school. I don't think they teach that anymore, but neither here nor there. So I end up with this book that has all of the songs for Injustice for All in it, right? And I go home, and I try to pick out the songs, because I'd listened to it a lot, because freaking Metallica, Injustice for All, right? And so I was trying to just like pick out what things were just by, I can read the note, I can understand the rhythm, and it was hard for me to read the tablature because I understood the notes. I understood how to read it on the staff. And it took me a long time to get that tablature part down. But once I could correlate them in the right way, it made everything so much easier. So I'm playing on this ugly-ass pink Jackson guitar that doesn't say Jackson with a white pick guard that looks like a Fender. And everybody made fun of me when I went to school. Like, hey, look, I got this guitar. And like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
Different age.
It was a different
Yeah,
time,
because
yeah.
right now, Charbel has a pink body, really nice, really cute, like a salmon color. It's really cute, amazing, and a lot of people are using that kind of guitars, like pink or some rare colors, but
It's still kind of weird to me. Like Jackson, like I thought for the longest time, and I don't know why. Everybody, as you're a musician, you enter this phase where you think you are the best, and that's all there is to it. You're better than everybody you see. You're better than everybody you know. It's that guitar player arrogance that everybody says guitar players have. Well, there's a reason for it. It serves an actual purpose, and the purpose of that is you blow yourself up to yourself like you're a badass, but you know you suck. You know you're not any good. You know this dude over here is better than you. But your ego forces you to practice harder, to get better, so that you can be the guy that you're telling everybody you are. You know what I mean? So that's like a good thing for a point, but I really was in this mindset for a long time where if it's not heavy, it's bullshit. If it's not a black guitar, it's not a real guitar. You know what I mean? Like I went through that real hard. And here in the last like 5 or 6 years, Jackson has put out a soloist that's like this fuchsia color. It's like this pink burst thing. It's got black on the end. It's like pink in here. I don't like the inlays at all, but it looks really, really good. And when you see it in person, it's a freaking pink guitar, but it is a gorgeous ass pink guitar. I've almost bought one twice.
Okay, B. Before start to talk about your beautiful guitar, can you talk a little bit about the equipment we will use on this episode, please?
Here I've got a Kemper stage, so it's like the Kemper profiler, but it's like on the floor. So they made these so you could basically go out and gig with them because everybody was using them to record. But instead, they're like, hey, we want something we can take out. So people are pulling these $4,000 Kemper heads on stage with a pedal, and that's terrifying. Taking anything that costs that much money on stage is terrifying, especially when you don't make a shit ton of money and you just saved up for 6 months to get something like that. You know what I mean? So they've got these things that are a lot cheaper, and I run that through this is a Seymour Duncan Power Stage 170. It's 170 watt solid state. Seymour Duncan Power Stage 170. It's clean power, and all of the tone and everything comes straight through this thing on the floor. And what I like about that is I don't have to carry a gigantic amp head to a gig. I have Mark Vs. I had Mark Vs. I sold them because they're pieces of crap after about 5 or 6 years. They're just non-functional devices. And even though Mesa replaced them multiple times, they still, after 5, 6 years, nothing. Like pieces of crap. Don't buy one. So this guy's, it's nice to have not so much heavy crap to carry. I can put this in a backpack, throw it on my back. I've got a case back over here. I put 2 guitars in and pull it along with me. And I just feed this out to the front of house. I've got an extra output. I can stuff an in-ear monitor in, and I can listen to myself and hear myself perfectly every time without issue. It's amazing.
Really nice. And the amp, it's a Boogie.
The cabinet is a Mesa 412 oversized, like rectifier cabinet. I use this if I'm playing with a metal band, if I'm doing a metal gig, and there's enough space on the stage, I'll use the 412 cabinet. But I also have a 212 cabinet that I use if I'm doing like a blues thing or a jazz thing. Same setup with the Kemper and the small amp, just different patches, different sets.
Nice. Okay. Being, what is the first guitar you want to show us?
This is a 1989 Charvel 650 XL. It is one of those holy grail Jackson Charvel guitars from the 80s that everybody seems to love. These and the 750 XLs are very, very sought after instruments. I didn't actually know anything about this guitar. I had a 7-string Warlock that was just like a mass-produced Warlock, and it was way too big for me. It was just huge. I have little bitty tiny hands, and the thing was enormous. And I was playing in a metal band, and we used those, but that guitar was big, and I didn't use it because it was too big. I had another one that I used. I used that one as a backup on stage. And the original owner of Jam Station, the original Jam Station, his name is Jimmy Orell. I'll probably say that 5 or 6 times. He and his group of people had talked me into teaching. You know, they weren't teachers themselves. A couple of them did, a couple of people in his group did teach. And they talked me into trying to teach. I needed to make some money. I needed to pay studio rent, you know, trying to live that life. And they talked me into it, and I said, okay. And they're like, well, you can't teach with that big-ass, ugly BC Rich. And I'm like, you know, you're right, because nobody's going to take me seriously. So I went to a shop in Richardson. It was called the Guitar Shop, and they did repair and things. And I had that Warlock with me, and I saw this, and I'm like, you know what? I need a 6-string guitar that I could teach with, that is a respectable looking instrument, that's kind of a beater. It was kind of dinged up a little bit. The neck is in perfect condition. The frets are all good. Everything's good. But it's not something that, you know, I was like, I don't care, whatever. And they had it listed for $500. And I brought my Warlock in, and I put that Warlock down, and I said, I would like to get rid of this. I had $202 in that guitar because I won it on eBay, and my bid was $202 on that Warlock. Somebody else had posted a much higher bid, and they won. My bid was the one underneath it. That guy decided to not buy it, so it immediately went to me for $202.05. So I got this for $202.05. And I had no idea what it was for years until somebody stopped me one day, and they're like, hey, I'll give you $6,000 for that guitar. And I'm like, why? It's just a beater. I mean, I didn't even know that much about the Charvel name. I knew a friend of mine had a Charvel years beforehand. I kind of thought it was like the cheap-ass shit Jackson, you know? Turns out it's not. It turned out it was something phenomenal that, you know, these guys were really chasing after. And now, trying to find these things on eBay, good luck. And if you do, they're like $2,000, you know? And I literally just very recently, I bought a 94 Jackson Soloist XL off eBay that I got for a steal, because it was from a seller who wasn't really a guitar player. He was just bought it at a estate sale. So I got it real cheap, which was nice. But it looks just like this, except it says Jackson on it instead of Charvel.
Yeah.
But I like this one so much, and for some reason, I end up just playing on it in such a way that it's comfortable to me. I just love the guitar. You know, I've had a couple of custom guitars built, one from Mosier Custom Shop, and I literally measured every aspect of this guitar, and I sent that to him and said, I want all the playing angles and dynamics to look like this. Compound fret radius fretboard, 12/16. Here it's got to be this thick here at the nut. It's got to be this thick at the 12th fret. You know, we got to have the proper pitch on the neck, all that. Like, I went through all that. And I paid like $2,000 for this guy to build me this guitar for Mosier, who used to build for BC Rich. And after he sent it to me, he said, if you're going to model a guitar after a soloist, why don't you just fucking buy a soloist? And I'm like, well, I've already got one. You know?
Yeah.
He's like, so, you know, but that's whatever. I have an SL1 too that is the exact same specification as this, and the soloist that's coming in is the exact same specification as this. And just for some reason, even though they're big, you know, it's a 25.5-inch scale, it's big, which is odd, but my hand fits on it better. I've got an Ibanez over here, an RG 1070. It's the same thing. It's the same scale, but for some reason, it feels smaller.
Oh.
And I cannot figure out why. The strings are actually closer together on that guitar, and the fret distances are different, just minuscule differences. But the distance from here to here is exactly the same. But the guitar is smaller. It's weird. And I can play on it, and I like those. I like the Ibanez. I like those guitars. But it's not this. You know, this I'm very comfortable on. You know, on the Ibanez guitars, I feel like I'm about to mess up. You know what I mean? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Fuck, I don't know.
You really fit with this guitar.
Yeah, just like with the Jacksons, it's just something about it's just a nice fit, a nice feel. The neck it's not too thick. It's not, it's not like the Kramer necks or the Gibson necks or like these baseball bats. It's just, it's almost like it just kind of fits you the right way. Nice ring. It doesn't make your hands sore, you know?
Yeah.
The Ibanez with the flat, they got that flat part right here. And there's just something about that, the way it's put together, it kind of makes my hands sore. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's the reason that different kind of companies are making different kind of guitars. Yeah, like Gibson or Epiphone. The necks are fat and tough, and
Yeah.
And when you play solos, you are uncomfortable to play solos, not really fast. Ibanez and Jackson are super strats. It's another kind. It's like a sport car.
Yeah.
To go so far, go so fast, and play that kind of genres. But that does not mean you need that kind of guitar to play that style of or music, right? Because you have a Jackson, you play metal music, right? Well, my biggest influence it's Gustavo Cerati. He played on 80s with Jackson SL1 or the prototype of SL1, and he played pop music or John Mayer. He played with Jackson's SL3 or SL1, the pink.
Yeah.
He was playing blues.
Yeah. I've played blues I've used this. I was playing in a fusion band where it was like a blues and rock fusion kind of thing. And I used this guitar because it was a lot of really like virtuosic, extremely fast, hard type of crap that we played. It was kind of ridiculous. And I needed to be able to feel comfortable to be able to, if it's improv, right? Like if I get the feeling I got to do something crazy, I need to be able to do whatever crazy thing that is. And I was just comfortable on these guys. I showed up to an open mic one night. A friend of mine talked me into going to an open mic, and it was like a little blues jam thing. And all I had on me was that guitar right there, that freaking Warlock. I had that, and I literally played that 7-string freaking Warlock at this blues jam, and everybody laughed at me when I pulled it out. They gave me a hard time about it because the older guys. I'm like 30-something. Like, I don't even remember exactly. I was probably like 33. And they're laughing at me, huh, huh, huh. But, go ahead and laugh if you want to. I can hold my own. I'm not one of those guys that is, the best guy in the world. I'm totally not. But I know what I can do well, so I just do what I can do well. And I think if everybody would just do what they can do well and stop comparing themselves to everybody else around them that plays like they want to play, then they would probably have a lot more fun playing guitar.
Yeah, the music is here, and here.
Right.
That's it. That's it. Don't matter. Don't care the appearance of the instrument, right? A lot of people play it with cheap instruments, but play it really well. And a lot of people or some collectors, they have really nice guitars, but they
Not so
don't-
much.
they don't play.
Yeah. I've come across people giving lessons that believe that the higher end instrument that they bought that meant that they could play better eventually, and it's just not the case. Either you have the mindset to allow yourself to evolve into what it is that you are going to be, and not worried about what everybody else is. You're worried about what you are going to be. If you can let yourself be in that mindset and evolve in that way, then the idea of good versus bad, better, none of that exists. It's just, here I am, my instrument, doing my thing, and maybe today I do great, maybe today I do terribly, but it's still me doing my thing, my way, you know.
Okay. What kind of pickups that guitar has?
This one originally came with Seymour Duncans, just like a regular SL1. They were the Jackson Seymour Duncans. And I pulled those out. I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to do this. But the guitar was in good shape when I got it, but over time, after years of teaching with it and gigging with it, the knife edge on the bridge just was done, wouldn't stay in tune, so I had to put a new bridge on it. And so when I did that, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and put in some EMGs just because I have an SL1, an actual real Jackson SL1 that's got the Seymour Duncans in it, right? And I'm like, well, let me get this maybe just hot rod this a little bit because I'm not messing up that guitar. That thing was stupid expensive. So I was like, let me just hot rod this out a little bit, and I put these EMGs in it, and I didn't think that I would like it at first, but as I've gone through the process, I really do like the EMGs in here a lot better than the passive pickups that are in the SL1. It still sounds good. They still sound good. But I really like these, and the soloist I've got coming also has EMGs in it, the same set.
It's your personality who are talking.
Yeah,
through the
for these
guitar.
instruments. Yeah.
Can we listen a little bit the guitar?
What do you want to hear, man?
Whatever you want. Go outside your heart.
Man, it's Sunday morning, Volume. So here's just kind of get some tone off of this thing with these EMGs. This is nice. This is that 81. I don't know if you remember or not, but when Kirk Hammett came out with his 81s that he put in that ESP, everybody suddenly had to have 81s. I was not necessarily in that boat until I bought one, and then I'm like, dude, everybody should have at least one guitar with some 81s in them because they're just nice and thick, Nice and articulate, But then you go over to get a clean channel, and this is what's really great about these. When you split these off like this, you get this nice and just a nice ring to it. And if you have it down here too, it gives that nice kind of, it's like a little overdriven. With it with your volume a little bit, and the Kemper's neat, man. You can, even though they claim with digital that you can't really get that same kind of overdrive through the preamp, well, there it is. You get that nice. Little wiggle to it. Very versatile set of pickups. These are the SAs, and that's an 81. It's a very versatile set of pickups for a guitar if you're trying to do a bunch of different crap, I catch a little shit too because I play in standard tuning. This is all straight E. I think the Ibanez is also straight E, But when I'm playing in metal bands, I tune down, but I don't tune the guitar down because that's really not what the device was meant to do. And I'm going to catch a lot of hell when I say this, but if you own a 6-string guitar and it's not a baritone and you tune it down to B, if you don't go set that guy up the proper way and use the proper strings and make sure that all of your tolerances are the same and all of the tension is the same, you're just doing damage over time. I'm sorry. You're just doing damage over time. And the cool thing about the Kemper that allows you to do some really neat stuff, like here we are in standard E, right? Let's say that you wanted to go down to B, for example, but you didn't want to have to tune your guitar down. Well, you can set it up here and now you're in B. And if you want to, what I do with these is I have a setting to where I have a solo channel. The solo channel actually puts the guitar back to E so that I can basically solo around on the solo channel. So if we're, like this is in B right now. And not have to worry about, am I having to transpose? Weird, like if you like, I can feel it in your chest. If you hear it here and you can feel it in your chest, it feels a little off. But if you're playing live and you've got the band going, it's not that.
Yeah, it's not big deal because it's really loud.
Yeah.
Outside then, right here you feel that what happened.
Yeah.
But well, when you are playing, I don't feel that kind of sensation.
Right, but I feel it because I'm touching the guitar. Like I feel the vibration of the guitar in my chest is different than the vibration that comes off the cabinet hitting me in the back.
Yeah. Okay, B. Can we switch the guitar right now?
I still have, on here I still have this set to standard because this guitar is tuned to standard. So since it's an 8-string, it's a Schecter, it's one of their Hellraiser specials. There was like a Guitar Center special. A friend of mine named Andrew, who does some video game work, he worked at Guitar Center at the time, and he sold me a red one just like this for $750, and with a case, And it just turned out to be a phenomenal instrument. This is a short scale. It's not long. It's a short scale. A lot of time when you buy them now, they're like 27-inch scale or some 26. They're just too big. And this was a short scale. It's 25 and a half, just like the other guitars. So it's a lot easier for me to play, even though I feel better on a 24 and 3/4 scale because I got little tiny fingers, which is odd. But this is one of the things that, to me, if you're gonna play low, if you want to play low, you're trying to play heavy like death metal, they have to tune down real low. If you're gonna do that, you might as well just grab an instrument that's built for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because the diversification of things that you can play, just there's so many different things you can play. You can still play on an 8-string without having to tune down your 6-string, and now you can't go take that and go do a sit-in gig somewhere. I would be playing with a metal band today, right, all tuned down to B because we're playing hard and heavy, but that same guitar, that Charvel that I love, I need that guy to be in E because the next day I've got to go teach. So I don't want to go back and forth having to reset that instrument up all the time with a floating bridge. Takes forever.
And it's Floyd Rose, and
Yeah.
and the process to change the strings are really tough sometimes.
Yes.
Right.
Every time.
You need some experience for be really good to change the strings and setup, and if you change the size of the strings, it's really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, because most of the time, I see a lot of deals where like guys are changing their strings and they adjust the truss rod to match their tensions. And I hate having to do that. I really hate having to do that. I've been lucky. A couple of guitars. I have three of these. I have the red one, and I've got this one, and I also have an actual Hellraiser, the real one with the Floyd on it. And I swear to God, that thing is like just a solid freaking tree. It's so big. I mean, look how thick the neck is on just this one. And they're amazing. Like I can barely touch my hands around it, you know. And those things, I've never had to once touch a truss rod on them. And I run some pretty heavy strings on them, and they don't come with really heavy strings, but I run some pretty heavy strings on them. And I'm still tuned just regular standard, and I've never had to touch a truss rod on any of the Schecter guitars I have. I have like 6 or 7 total Schecters. And they're just like bricks, you know what I mean? Like just crazy things. Same thing with this Warlock here. I've never had to touch the truss rod on it. It's always just been solid. I mean, I've had trouble with keeping it intonated from changing string diameters, but, is what it is. This is pretty interesting. These are 2 EMG pickups as well. I'm not really an EMG pickup fan, so to speak, so it's kind of odd that I have so many guitars with EMGs in them. But if the guitar sounds right and it speaks to you a particular way when you pick it up and play it, then it is what it is, But this is just a nice... And that's what you're trying to feel whenever you're playing it live. I find it hard. This lowest note is an F sharp. It's kind of hard to hear. You know what I mean? If you try to play like your typical, like here's your like an E power chord, right? Like this. Like you can hear that. You can hear the tone of that, and you can move that around. You go down to B. It takes a minute to get used to it, which is like what a 7 string. It's almost dissonant to. It's kind of weird. It's even worse when you go down to the F sharp. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's hard if you're used to hearing it. If you're used to hearing like A440. And all of this is 440, but if you're used to hearing that E and that A in that 440 as your lowest notes, when you go down, it kind of sounds weird. So every time I've used an 8-string in multiple bands I've played in, I've never actually done that note because it doesn't sound right. But what I find interesting is the B sounds good, right? And this, at the 5th fret, is a B. It's a little bit more articulate for some strange reason. So I've had opportunity playing these to, whenever it would come time to do the B note, instead of going down here and hit it open, I would just hit it here. Kind of make it, to me it would make it seem like a little bit more, I guess, just full, Because like you can, like all the notes there's more body to it. All the notes they replicate all up and down here, so you can pick an A multiple places, or you can pick a G multiple places. But where does the G sound the way you need it to sound? It's not just about the note you're trying to hit and the tone you're trying to get. It's about how does that actually translate when you play it. So sometimes you have a G that's on a high end, and sometimes you have a G that's on a low end. That's just how it is. And that's what I do here on this one. It just kind of seems like, and the cool thing about that too is if you're just chugging on this B, right? So that's always fun because now you're outside of the range of what the 7-string players are doing, and it's just a little bit different. And everybody's like, "What the hell was that?" Well, it was that. It's kind of weird. And it's kind of weird too. Like you end up playing in like weird kind of box patterns. And and when you do something like that, it gives you all kinds of like ridiculous. Really a bunch of different tonalities that you can use without having to jump all over the place. That wouldn't sound right if you're just playing it there, right? Like that first note has to have that timbre to it. Instead of sounds better to me.
Yeah, yeah. Make has the all the sense, you know.
And they sound good too still with it. Even though it's not meant to do that, it still sounds neat. But yeah, that's the Hendrix chord, that E7, E sharp 7 or whatever it is. It's the Hendrix chord.
Well, because you are talking about this guitar, I suppose, I guess, your evolution about the music, when you has that necessity to, I was listening the music television, the MTV channel, um, but MTV has not that kind of music.
Right.
Yeah, how you discover the extreme metal, and the necessity to, I need something more heavy, more hard, like black metal, like
Yeah,
death
yeah.
metal.
And see, that's where it gets real strange. I don't like black metal.
No.
Mm-mm. I I like death metal enough. I own maybe 2 death metal albums. I like the band Death. I don't consider them death metal. I like the band Obituary. I don't consider them death metal. I'm not real big on blast beats. You know, I've played in a bunch of bands that do that, but I also will play music with people that I like. So I don't really care what you're playing. If I like you and you're my friend and we're just having a good time and we're going to make a band, do some shows, whatever, you need somebody to play guitar, I'll come play with you. I don't care. You know what I mean? The way that it got kind of strange for me was I noticed I was playing in a death metal band in, in '96, and all the bands around us were death metal, but we weren't necessarily death metal. But all the bands around us were death metal at our rehearsal studio that we were in Plano, or in Irving. And because of that, we just kind of started messing around. Like, let's just play a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
So I had a custom Jackson Dinky reverse at the time. It was the first Jackson I ever owned. I loved it. I sold it after I was on stage one time, and the dude jumped on stage in front of me butt naked. He was butt naked, and he jumped on stage, and he was like drunk as shit, all doing his crap. And I hit him with that guitar in the face, and he goes back into the crowd, right? I don't ever see the guy again. I sold that guitar 10 years ago, and it still had the freaking blood stain on it from '96.
Wow.
I loved that. It was the best thing ever. But anyway, I'm not really that big of a death metal guy, right? But I noticed that around that time, Korn had come out and they had 7-string guitars. And I wasn't really a big Korn fan because they don't do the traditional thing with guitar, Yeah. But I was at Murphy's Music and I was just kind of dicking around, and they had a 7-string Dinky, Jackson Dinky 7-string with the Floyd. And I played it and I messed around with it a little bit, and I heard that low end and I'm like, damn, that is good, because we already tuned down real low. We tuned down to a drop C. And this was just a straight B, and which I'm not real big on drop tunings either, like where you're playing with just one finger. I'm not real big on that. I do it, but I think I'm kind of a purist. I kind of think it's cheating at some points, but there's some things that you can't do without that, like some really crazy big 9 chords, as I've learned as I've gotten older. So now I have guitars that I have keeping that tuning for these giant chord stretches and I think they're fun. I got 5 or 6 songs now that I've written with the drop tuning, and I feel like an idiot every time I play because I used to talk so much shit about it. Now here I am doing it, like a dumbass. But whatever. But I don't really play that type of metal with it. I play more of like doom metal, like stoner metal, so that I can get that low, because I like playing that low, you know. And even the band I'm playing in now is kind of a thrash band, so it's kind of fast, and it's kind of like a different kind of between like a thrash and a fucking slam band. It's kind of like somewhere in the middle. And they tune real low like that too. But I don't want to tune my guitars down, so I'm just playing 7 strings or pick up one of the 8 strings if I need to, and I play it in that way. So it's kind of an odd thing because I'm not really doing the traditional what everybody does with an 8 string. In a fusion band I was playing in, I played an 8 string, and I just used for the low B. I just used that like I showed you earlier. I just felt like it sounded better like that. I don't know, but it is kind of weird. It was weird. People would see it in the beginning, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" Like, it's an 8 string. It's like, "Are y'all a death metal band?" No, we're just a metal band.
So, I I understand. You solve your issues uh, with your comfortable way. Yeah. Okay. I have the necessity to play that kind of music. How I will solve that issue? Okay. I need to play low, but I like the tension and I my plainness. And
So
okay.
you touched on something right there. Is that string tension is extremely important when you're playing. And when you take your guitar and you drop it down to your 6 string and you drop that down to B, your strings become floppy, or you have to put extremely uh, heavier strings on it, which changes the dynamic altogether. It changes the dynamic of the way the note sounds. It changes the way it feels under your fingers. To me, all that was just too much of a change from what I wanted to. I wanted to feel it a particular way every time. So if I need to go lower, I'm just going to get an extra guitar with an extra string on it.
Yeah, because maybe if you change the size of the strings, the tension it's completely different, right? And the shape of the string, you start to feel rare. And okay, I don't feel comfortable, but that's my necessity. My necessity on this band is play lower or higher or have more body or right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love to have a Gibson Les Paul, right? But right now I'm playing hair metal, and I need to shred.
Yeah.
Okay, how I will solve, how I create my own voice with my own instrument, and yeah, it's really nice your story about that because okay, I have more necessities. I feel my hands are tiny, and okay, I can change my hands. How I will solve? Well, the guitar it's an instrument, it's a tool, and how I will solve my necessities on music, right? Thank you for sharing that with us, B. I want to ask you how you equilibrate your regular life with music.
How do I do what now?
How you equilibrate, you have your family, your job, your business, your how you have time for all that stuff.
When I was 25, I was working as a Unix network engineer. Um, and I woke up one day and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's strange because I still love all that type of thing and I still do all that type of thing sometimes. but I didn't want to do it in a corporate environment like that. And I made the decision that I was just going to play guitar and get as good as I could get for me for the rest of my life. And from that point, there's just been nothing else. I have found ways to make money playing guitar. I have found ways to survive, you know, doing that type of thing. And I still do some other things that make money on the side. You know, since I was way into tech and programming in that nature, I do freelance computer work, freelance web design, freelance development for things. I spend a lot of time as a photographer and videographer, shooting music videos, shooting documentary videos for a couple of different companies. Just anything creative I could find my way into to mess with and do, I did. But I focused completely on how good could I get at this, because I didn't really have, like I said, I didn't really fit in anywhere. Even in the corporate world, I do not fit in. Everybody sat around talking about their damn stock portfolios and the car that they had to buy their wife because she was cheating on him, and you know he's trying to keep his wife, so he buys a bitch a damn Jaguar to keep her. You know, I was like, man, come on. Like I couldn't be that fake in that world. It just wasn't me. So I just kind of threw myself into this and have done whatever I could and figured out whatever I needed to along the way to make that happen. Of course, that that doesn't mean you're not gonna have a big house, you're not gonna have a fast car, unless you hook up with somebody who's got some bread, or you do something of that like that. And of course, that's what we all do. We all couple up, and I just happen to be hooked up with somebody who has a good job and works well. But she didn't always. We've been together for 32 years, so we were together in high school. You know what I mean? So when I said to her, "Hey, I'm not doing this anymore." Anyway, so when I said to her I didn't want to do this anymore, she and my mother got in my ear about, well, you should probably really chase this around. And it was a huge life difference, because I had spent a number of years making real good money, having a very large house, driving a very fast, expensive car. But I hated who I was. I hated myself every day, and it just got worse and worse and worse. I hated the people I talked to. I hate the people I work with. I hated every single thing about it. And I just said, you know what, I don't want to do this. And I made that life decision, and I have chased it ever since. And, things have worked out good sometimes, and sometimes not so much, This, the rehearsal studio here, this thing is not really a situation where I'm going to make a shit ton of money doing it. It's not about that. Jimmy Orell, who was the first jam station guy in Plano, when he got cancer and he was dying, I said to him, hey, let me buy this off of you to help you. And he said, I would not sell this to anyone. He said, it is an albatross. He said, you will not make any money. It is a labor of love. He said, I do this because I love it. I don't make a penny in this business. He had another business that he did. He was a house framer. It was a very successful house framer. So the rehearsal studio for him was just a big toy, And I argued with him, and I said, I don't care. I love this building. I love this. Give it to me. Nope, wouldn't do it. So when the opportunity came up for me to do this, and I saw the need in the market, it was the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm not going to make any money doing this, but it's going to pay for itself. It's going to pay for its space. It's going to make the money for the people that it needs to make money for, so it can exist. And that's how I'm running this now. It's really kind of like that, from the 60s, they had the people talking about that bohemian lifestyle. It really kind of is like that, Every once in a while, I come across something I can do for somebody, and I can make some good money doing it, and I just manage it very well. I've invested a little bit over the years, and I also have developed a few pieces of software, And so there's money that happens, you know, but it's not like I'm getting rich off of it. But that's not the point. I really could care less. If to me happiness was living on the damn street, I would just go do that. But it's not. It's holding a guitar and messing with guitar and hanging around a bunch of people trying to play music and just that.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I understand we are so passionate about music and the story about your friend. And I don't care if that don't make any money, but I love that. I have my side business, but I will do that until I die. And yeah, it's same. It's same for me. And okay, I keep doing music for 25 years, and okay, I on a new place with new people, but I will found my own way to keep creating music. Maybe not with a guitar on my hands, but talking about guitar and talking about music with people, because that makes me feel happy and feel free, and you know, and I love to uh, go to a bar and a band jamming, and I just lost myself there. And when I talk with my guests, I imagine their stories and their situations, and it's like a therapy for me and for them and for you. Yeah, because maybe you know your story, but how many times you talk about your story?
Right.
And just in a moment, okay, I want to talk about my story. And, oh, I remember that. I remember that. Oh, and you will connect more with, or I I learned that about my guest. They connect again with the instrument, and they renew their love with the guitar. And oh, I remember that. And my first guest said, my mom gave it to me, my first guitar, and the deal was, I want you play La Malagueña. And she passed away, and I never played that. And right now I have the idea to, and he is learning right now that piece of that song.
That's a great piece of music.
Yeah, and he said I never played that, and right now I feel it's the moment um, to successful the deal with my mom.
Yeah. And that's important, man, because you got to get that. It's got to be the right moment. You got to get that right feel. Uh, and Jimmy, in his band, he had a band that was called Alien Hand, and they did a bunch of other little stuff too. But he had a drummer. His name was Don Landry, and he was a great drummer. He's still a great drummer. But when I'd first come out, I'm like 27, 28 years old, and I'm like freaking out because I just literally quit a six-figure job to make no damn money, you know, and I'm freaking out, and I'm just like, God, I don't know what to do. And he said something one day that put the whole thing in perspective for me, and it just set it up. Don, they were all considerably older than me. You know, I'm in my 20s, and they're all in their 40s, pushing 50s. You know, and Don he had a house, he had a wife, he had two kids, and everything that you would want in the world is your American dream. Here's your house, your car, your two kids, your gorgeous wife. This is what you're doing. And he worked for Brook Mays. I don't know if you remember Brook Mays. It was a music shop in town. He worked at their warehouse. And he said to me one day, he said that through conversation, he said that he always did exactly what he needed to do so he could do exactly what it is he wanted to do. And all he wanted to do was play drums. So he got a job that wasn't too demanding, but paid the proper amount of money that allowed him to live how he wanted to live so that he could go play his drums because that was the priority. And that just clicked. That just clicked. And I've literally lived that way almost ever since. I mean, I have expensive taste, though. His expensive taste was a Toyota truck, right? My expensive taste is a $60,000 truck, right? Can I afford a $60,000 truck? No, you know? But I still try to do things that if I needed to afford a $60,000 truck, I could, like the tech stuff, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah. Okay. B. Can we switch the guitar right now? Okay, B. Can you introduce us about your Ibanez, please?
So I guess a couple of years ago, Ibanez put out, in the 80s, we did not like Ibanez guitars, all right? They were gorgeous. You looked at it, you loved it, you're like, yes. But they were total crap. And it's because in the back here, where they connected your locking nut through here, they drilled 2 holes and they screwed it in backwards. So you'd think that that would be a good idea, right? Like, that's going to make it stable. Seems like a great idea. It was a terrible idea because they still had a scarf joint right here where the headstock attached. Well, they weakened it by drilling a hole through it. So it would crack down, headstock would pop off.
Yeah.
So we ended up calling Ibanez guitars in the 80s, we called them Ibanhads. And that persisted for years. And they always have made, in my opinion, some of the most attractive instruments with their finishes and the woods that they use. They're just gorgeous instruments. But every one I've ever bought that was not a high-end Ibanez, I always had some type of problem with. And I love the S-Series guitars. I love those. Just, they're so gorgeous. They play well. And I've owned several, and the frets would pop up. But they weren't like the premium ones. They were just like here's your $500 Ibanez, frets are popping up, you know? So a few years ago, I ran across a premium version of an S-Series. It's called an S1070. And I just said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna buy this. This is so beautiful a guitar. Even if it's a piece of crap, it's so gorgeous, I'm just gonna hang it on the wall, right? An expensive guitar to hang on the wall, right? But I got it and I played it and it was amazing. It just stupid amazing. And it was so beautiful, and it has this great neck back here made out of the different woods that it feels really good. You know, it's not, I don't really like unfinished necks. This one's kind of oiled, so it feels real good. And I bought that guitar, and I loved it. I'm like, this is great. And I was like, it would sure be nice if I had a regular strap body one that was not the thin one, because the thin ones have their jack is right here. So my wireless that I like to use at home won't go into it because it's too deep. It's got that barrel jack. So I was messing around on eBay, which is a bad thing to do if you play guitar. I was messing around on eBay, and I come across this, and I didn't even know that they made them with an RG form, you know. And the guy, it was a sad story, the guy was, he had been in some type of accident, and he could no longer play guitar. And he had 2 of these. He had this color and this one, and he had a black one, and he had some real high-end ESP, like real high-end stuff. and he couldn't play anymore, and he was just like fire selling it. He's like, look, somebody should have this. This is that level of instrument. Somebody should have it. Here it is. You know, if you're looking at this, his ad said, if you're looking at this ad, you know what it is. Don't lowball me. You know, and that was pretty much it. So I hit him up, and I'm like, dude, what's up? You know, we had a conversation a little bit. He told me what was going on. And this is a 2017 model. He never played it. It literally, when I got it from him, when it came in the mail, it was in the case that it came in with all of the plastic and crap all over it still. He'd never even played it. He literally had bought these two guitars and got into like a motorcycle accident, and his hands no longer worked. Isn't that terrible? And he's like, I really want these to go to somebody who is going to play it. And I'm like, I'm your dude, man, you know? So that's how I ended up with this particular Ibanez. And it's just a 1070 PBZ, you know, premium. The PBZ stands for Poplar Burl something. I don't know what the Z part is. But the thing that I like about it is it's got this system here on the back where you adjust the bridge with the roller. Now, I've owned several of these, and I never understood exactly how it worked. Remember, I keep all my guitars in standard tuning, so I never really had a need to mess with this. If the bridge was flat, the bridge was flat. But if I tried to put bigger strings on it, the bridge would get all wonky, and I would try to take this apart and jack with it, and I just couldn't figure it out. So I just left them all as they were. But when I got this one in the S series, also has this same thing. I did a little bit more research and it had it explained to me the proper way, and I watched some videos on YouTube to see exactly what this was for and how it works. And I am freaking convinced that this is the best bridge system that a guitar can have. It is absolutely the best, because if you decide that you want this to go to a different tuning, right? They claim you can break a string and it will stay in tune. Not true in any way, right? It's very close, and it's easy to get it back with one string off, but it's not staying in tune. You break a string, it's going out of tune. However, this is so easy to set up. You want to put bigger strings on here, put your bigger strings on here, and just roll this, and it's perfect. It always returns to zero whenever you're gonna, if you're trying to be one of those, whammy bar guys, which I don't really do that much, but I just kind of like playing with it because it sounds cool. Still in perfect tune. The Floyds, if you have your Floyd set up properly, it will stay in perfect tune as well. Not like this. I literally had this guitar, I'm not joking, in a case, untouched for a year. Pulled it out, perfect tune, still sitting down. Or the whole, the dime bag thing that they do, it's like. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's all just this stupid little roller thing. And it's got multiple springs that here, like the springs that attach are underneath this that attach everything in. And then it's got two right here that attach to this thing, and two right here that attach underneath. And as you roll it, it just it's stabilized. Mm-hmm. And you roll that and it leans it forward, leans it backwards. Wow. Absolutely the best.
I've never seen that kind of system.
Yeah. It's called a zero something. Just scared it right out of me. Because the bridge, they're called the Edge Zero Bridge, and then the system is called a zero something F, ZF, zero F.
I will.
Yeah.
I will search that.
Yeah, figure that out. But that's what that's called, and that's what that's for. And it's real smooth. Yeah, it's just.
Wow. Okay, B, do you remember that licks or that solos? You feel, oh, I'm getting better, like guitarist?
No, I've never had anything like that. I've never been one to really kind of chase around other people's music. And that's been a problem for me because, people have wanted me to play in like cover bands with them, and I've played, but I'm not really a learn your solo kind of person. There's a few things like some Eddie Van Halen licks, and because those are things that he does over and over, like the lick for Hot for Teacher, right? The whole intro to Hot for Teacher. That's just cool. I love that. Play that, good or not, don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I play because I like messing with it. You know what I mean? Some Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff, things that he would do over and over. I play it. Am I good at it? I don't even care. It's just what I like to play. When I'm playing with people or I'm trying to come up with something, the way that I determine that I'm getting better is if I am communicating what it is I'm trying to do the right way to me, if it feels right under my fingers. And the idea, I think, of playing music is to evoke an emotional response from someone somehow through moving the air that you're playing with. You're playing guitar, you're making a vibration, you're moving air, and somebody needs to be affected by that emotionally. So what I used to do is I would sit on my couch with my classical guitar, and I wouldn't play it. I would just sit there, let everybody that's around, the girls are around doing what they're doing, just let them do their business. The guys are hanging out doing whatever. Don't pay attention to me. And then I would start to play. And I'm good if I get everybody to stop and look. You know what I'm saying? I've done good. If you stop and you're paying attention to what I'm doing, then I got you. And I'm getting better at what I'm doing because I'm communicating right. That's me. I years ago, at one point I'm like, okay, I'm a metalhead. I'm playing metal. I'm metal. You know what I mean? And I know dudes like that now. I love those dudes. But to me, I was a jackass when I was doing that. Because, yes, I can play fast. I can do all this crap. I don't know shit about the guitar. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything that has anything to do with real guitar other than, I can just play. I can play Metallica songs. I can play Slayer songs, I'm cool. I can play Slayer. But that's what I did. It's what I loved. It's what I could do. But I didn't really know anything about it. So I wanted to learn more about it. So I spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out what it was that people do, especially when you see things where, you're watching your guy and they're playing these really fast, like stupid fast runs. And you're like, how in the hell are they doing that? It's like, I would like to do that too. Like, how do you get 600 freaking notes out of just, like, there's only 3 strings left. I'm only going to get 9 more notes out of that. How is it that you're like, and I couldn't figure that out. And I guess some people are good at figuring things out, and some people are dumb in a different way. And I guess I'm just dumb in a different way. It never occurred to me that they were just playing the same notes. Again, you play sequence. You get the idea, you know what I mean? So once I figured out that kind of thing went, I found a thing online, this thing called Chops from Hell. And it was a bunch of these crazy shred guys that just did amazing things with fingers that were like this damn long. And they could play any damn thing in the world, and it's just like all over the place. You'll never play that good. I will never play that good. Most people will never play that good. There's not even really a use case for playing like that, because nobody really gives a shit. You're just a million notes a minute like Yngwie. He does great shit, but I'm so bored listening to him. I just, I don't even own any Yngwie albums. It's so boring to me. But I love what he does. I learned how to do his arpeggios when I was 16. Somebody was explaining to me how that's supposed to work. The whole, and I would just sit there at the house and practice that. And just do that until I was like, who gives a shit? Nobody cares. But I wanted to learn more about it and understand more about it. And then I figured out that everybody was doing that type of thing. I found this Chops from Hell deal, this guy named Rusty Cooley. And he would do these really just amazingly fast runs. And he had this Mixolydian run, which is a mode of the major scale, that halfway through it, he ended up doing this thing where he was You know, and I was like, oh my God, that's cool as hell. So I just learned how to do that and would put that into the other modes and just kind of grab a couple of stupid things like. Now I've done something cool. There's like 37 notes on 3 strings right there. You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, so now I'm getting better. Now I'm learning something. And, you know, when people would come up and say, like, man, how are you doing that? I'm like, fuck, I don't know, man. I just remember how to pick fast. And it's just that kind of thing, right? But it's boring. But if you're playing a guitar solo in something and you need to do something flashy, be flashy for a second. Do something like that, you know? Or you. I just recently learned this one. Arpeggios are hard as hell. You know, you got. You know, it's fun and it looks flashy and it looks hard. It's very simple, but it takes a minute to kind of get used to it. And I just learned this one from that guy. Is an online guy. His name's Bernt. He used to live in Norway or something, and now he's in LA. But it's kind of like this, but it's different. So I've been trying to work on that. I'm not quite that good. It's just fun to mess with, you know, and it sounds cool when the whole band's going and you do something real quick like that, and you kind of like look up and everybody's looking at you like, what the hell was that? You know? But I mean, that's not what makes you good to me. What makes you good is being able to flow around and just do something, you know, that really just kind of fits, you know. Improv. I think everybody should spend a lot of time just improv and just hit your note and learn what your guitar sounds like when you touch it in other places. It sounds suddenly you're like, this is dissonance, right? Did I make a mistake just there? I did. But doesn't it sound cool when I do it? Because it's not about how good are you, it's how you handle what it is that you do. You know, I saw a thing with Victor Wooten many years ago. He came to Zoo Music and he did a little master class. It was like on the fly kind of thing. Maybe 40 people knew about it, and you had to be invited by somebody that knew. And the owner of Zoo Music hit up my buddy Jimmy Orell and said, hey, Victor Wooten is going to be here. Do you want to come check it out? And he hit me up. He's like, you want to go see Victor Wooten? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to go see Victor Wooten. That guy sat there and played every wrong note on purpose, and it was the coolest thing ever. It was the coolest thing ever. It was so good. And he said, did you notice I was out of key completely the whole time? And of course, all of us there like, fuck yeah. You know, we noticed it, but it sounded so good, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? It's how you handle what it is that you do, not what you do. It's how you handle what you do.
Wow.
Yeah. Like that note shouldn't be there. Now it should be there. Like you just make it into something. There's no wrong note. There's literally no such thing as a wrong note. And if you hit a dissonant note and it sounds like a little off to you, one note up or one note down is the proper note in key. And that changed my life, man. That let me really enjoy playing guitar. When you could just sit there and just mess around.
Nice. Thank you so much. Wow, that makes. Well, I think it's. You don't have wrong notes. Depends. What do you want to say? Yeah.
And you handle it the right way, then maybe you just said what you were supposed to say.
Mm-hmm. Some people will connect with what are you saying or not. That's it.
And
Like you. Okay, I think it's nice whatever Wim Bamsing is doing, but I don't connect with that. Yeah, for me, if a lot of people tell me you don't like ACDC, no, I don't like. I don't like. I don't connect with me, but I respect them because they know they have a really great formula uh, to do music, but don't connect with me. I prefer another kind of rock, but I never said, oh, they are wrong.
yeah,
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 and when we are young, that's bullshit.
exactly. That was
But right now, we appreciate. Well, if I'm a club dancing and play ACDC, I will jump. I will jump. Maybe I don't like that song, but I know the song and I understand something they are saying. It's right, but did not connect with me. That's it. And the music, it's subjective uh, thing. Yeah, a lot of people like something and another people don't.
right.
But
If you spend too much time thinking about what other people like, then you're not being true to yourself. You just need to be true to yourself, and you need it because you're the guy that's got to wake up every day and look in the mirror with what you play. You've got to live with how you play. If other people like it, great. If other people don't like it, go somewhere else. Listen to somebody else.
and that don't means the people need to hate each another, and that's the problem for the world. I don't like that. I will hate that. Why? It's not your business. If you don't like something, it's okay. You will come, keep your way, and found your stuffs you like. That's it. Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, man. We spend too much time clicking up. We get all clicks. We get in these social clicks of this, that, and the other, and people are afraid that if they say that they like something or they do something, they're afraid that people are going to make fun of them or they're going to be outcast in some way. I was an outcast my whole life, so I could give two shits what anybody has to say about what I do. You know, and some people like what I do and some people don't, and that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. And uh, maybe, well, like Megadeth, a lot of people loves Megadeth, but I don't connect with that.
Yeah.
But I love the story about Dave Mustaine
Yeah.
and how he played guitar. It's amazing. I don't connect with his music, but I click with his story.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and he has a vision about the music. Really interesting. It's really huge. He knows a lot about his instrument and about his techniques and how he create that. And
I like some Megadeth. I like it up to Rust in Peace. After that, not so much. You know, and I think what I liked about Megadeth was the fact that like Holy Wars, for example, the song is very complex. And I was really drawn to that. I'm 13. I was about 13 when that came out. And I remember just beating myself to death in the bedroom with I had a pink Warlock. I had two fucking pink guitars, dude. I had a pink Warlock, and I'm all like trying to figure out this song, and it just driving me crazy. But I really liked that. But I still thought, I don't think that Megadeth is better. I think that, I think, sadly, I think that they're really just kind of, Dave is just kind of pissed off, and he's trying to outdo Metallica musically, musicianship wise, and he does it every time, you know. But if the problem is his songwriting is not as good, you know. I still love Megadeth. I do, but everything after Rust in Peace, he was just following,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, because it's the evolution, the creative decisions. Sometimes okay, I like that kind of music that band it's doing, and they change and oh, them feel comfortable with, but it's their necessities about the evolution, about their music. It's not your choice.
Right.
But that means, oh, I will hate that. And that my idol fell down and whatever. Well, the people, it's crazy right now. And the life is simple, right? Just respect and keep doing your stuff. And because we are musicians, I don't I don't need to uh, get hate
Right.
for a guitarist I don't like. I don't need that.
It's weird. I always thought it was strange when I was young and rap started happening. I always thought it was weird that you would see all the metal bands with all the rappers. Like, there's a lot of pictures out there with Snoop Dogg, for example, and he's like with Metallica, just hanging out. And you're just like, the hell is that all about? Like, it doesn't, being a metal purist at some level, I was like, if it's not metal, it's bullshit. You know what I mean? So that type of thing was like, what in the hell's going on here? Doesn't make any sense. But as I've gotten to the age that I've gotten to, I'm surprised I've lived this long. You know what I mean? You kind of learn that everybody that is a musician, regardless of what they play, regardless of what their style is, there's a brotherhood to that. It's a kindred spirit type thing to that that you don't really consider. But they're living the same life you're living. They're just singing a freaking different song, But y'all are the same people, all day, every day. And it doesn't matter whether he comes from California and you come from New York. It's literally, you're the same guy, regardless.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Beam, can we switch the guitar right now?
Yeah. You know how heavy this thing is? It's so light. You know how
Oh,
light that
wow.
is? Isn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah. You can play for
All day.
hours.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Parker guitars.
Yeah.
Oh, when I played the first time with, I can play for decades with that guitar. And right now are.
Now hold this one.
Oh, shit. Oh, wow. It's huge.
Yeah. Massive. This thing is a beast.
Yeah, the Parker guitars are so expensive right now because it's not wood, it's some kind of plastic.
It's composite. Do they still make them, right?
No,
No?
the factory done on 2011.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I had a friend that plays one. He plays in a local band. Well, he doesn't play in that band anymore, but he played in that band, and he had this. It was red. It was a gorgeous guitar.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was so weird because it didn't fit him or the style of music that they were playing. but-
Yeah, the sound it's completely different, and when you play, it sounds weird. It sounds like an acoustic, but you need to discover that kind of guitar.
Yeah, it's funny, that Ibanez, like you just held that one and it was pretty light, right? The S version of it, the S series that I bought just before that one, that guitar is made out of mahogany, weighs about 5 pounds more than that one, and it's like literally a quarter of the size. It is enormous weight for this little bitty ass guitar. It's cool.
Okay, B, can we talk about this guitar right now?
This guitar is a USA-made BC Rich 7-string Warlock. It is the first USA-made guitar that I ever had, and I'm sure you've heard somebody say, "Never play a $10,000 guitar. Never do it, because if you do it, you'll never want anything less than that." And I made that mistake when I played a USA BC Rich Warlock, and I was like, wow. Just like with the SL1, if I'd never played one, I could have bought $300 Jacksons for the rest of my life. I've got a $300 Jackson at the house right now that is an amazing guitar, and I play it all the time, but it doesn't equal that SL1. It doesn't equal that 650. you know. And I've owned a bunch of BC Rich guitars, and none of them play like this one. And it's just because it's, you know, these handcrafted instruments are just a lot more, there's more, I guess, love put into it, you know what I mean? And none of them are exactly quite the same. You know, some tolerances here will be a little bit different because you got some guy making it, not a machine. But this I got from Zoo Music for $500.
On Garland? That's on Garland. Zoo Music.
In Zoo Music, yeah, the one in Garland Avenue. I got it for $500 because the guy, the manager of the store at the time, was pissed off at the company that bought BC Rich after Bernie Rico died. And he didn't want to carry their products anymore. So he was literally selling everything BC Rich they had at cost.
Oh.
And this was used, and I got it for $500 off of him. They had it listed for 25 or 26, and he had 500 in it. And he said, "I'll give it to you for $500 right now." Sold. You know. This is it's a 7-string. It's an interesting instrument. I've played this guitar a lot. I got it around 2003 maybe, and I've played this with a band I was in called Thick Skinned almost exclusively until I bought a 7-string Jackson with a reverse headstock that weighed half as much as this. And I'm like, okay, that's it. We're gonna get the easier one to do the gigs with, man, because at some point, like, I did some work for 38 Special a few years ago, I guess 20 years ago now, and the guitar player, Jeff Carlise, he's a nice guy, but if you ever see the guy, he's real tall, but he plays this really heavy gold top Les Paul, and you know what I mean? He's like this because he's been playing it for so long, and I'm like, damn, I do not want to look that way. I don't want to be like that. So I'm trying to play, you know, less heavy guitars. Is it working? Yeah, we'll see. You know what I mean? Because if an instrument sings to you, it sings to you. And if it just happens to weigh 100 pounds, you better figure out how to hold it up. You know? But this is pretty neat. It's neck through construction, which is nice. There's a preamp in here that's an actual bullet. It's a 357 Magnum bullet. And inside that, they put a preamp. It's called the Wolf preamp. And flip it on and off here, and this is a volume for it. So you just have a volume knob that controls this DiMarzio pickup, and this is a volume knob for the preamp, which I think the battery's dead, so I don't have that turned on, and I never really used it anyway because it was just too much. It puts so much gain into the system. This is one of those guitars like these neck through things that you just hit it. Just sustain forever. Nice and warm. Just feels like the guitar makes me want to play doom metal. It doesn't make me want to play speed metal or fast. Like, it just looks like it should be something that's like in the medieval times, and you're just like bashing somebody's head with it, you know, like a scary kind of, you know what I mean, like the Inquisition's coming.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. With hammers and
Yeah.
the soldiers.
So this is definitely this guitar has been on almost every recording I've done as an adult. Almost every one, even on ones where it didn't use 7 strings, just because it's got just a nice. It's just like a nice feel. It's like a nice overall. When you feel it up against your body, it's real nice. You know, with the neck through. The same thing with that Charvel on almost every album I've ever cut ever, since I bought that when I was in my early 20s. That guitar is on there somewhere in a guitar solo, because it feels right. You know, this one's not. This one's a little bit of a. It's still got a little bit of a radius. It's not quite the same. The Jacksons are 12/16, and this one is 12 something, but it's almost like it's a little bit more down here. easier to just kind of grab that feel of. Sadly, it's just heavy as shit.
Wow, nice, nice guitar. I know BC Rich has a really good story.
Yeah.
The company, and
This one is a 99. This one was made in 99.
when well, I know BC Rich because Slash and Slipknot, and
Slayer.
Slayer, and
Early Megadeth.
Uh-huh.
Dave used to play the BC Rich.
Yeah, and that's really nice guitars. I just shock. You just shock with the shapes. And what kind of guitars? Oh, that's crazy shapes, but I think they have taste to do some weird shapes, and it's really aesthetic. It's really nice and fit the fit the genres, but that don't means nothing. We talk about your tone is here, here, and here.
That's like I said, I showed up to a blues gig with this one.
Oh.
And it was the dumbest, it's just the only guitar I had on me. That's actually happened to me 2 times. I used to have a Stealth, a BC Rich Stealth, which those were designed by Rick Derringer. And I also showed up to a sit-in gig with that guitar. I've since sold it. But, you know, I got less laughs out of that because Rick Derringer was kind of like a rock guy from the 70s. But this, you know, you showed up with this and, you know, that doesn't sound bad. Like it's not too much sustain. You know, it's just not. It's just nice. It almost could be a bluesy guitar. Mm-hmm. Almost. So you got to mess with that volume a little bit. But, you know, they gave me shit. But, I mean, how hard is it really? I mean, do you really need to have a Fender Strat to play a freaking pentatonic scale? Mm-hmm. No, you know? That's part of that Mixolydian thing I was talking about. You can take a Mixolydian and connect that to a minor pentatonic, and now you've got a huge amount of space that you can move up and down the fretboard just in one spot. It seems like you've done a million things, but you haven't. You've played literally a Mixolydian, which is just a freaking mode of a scale, and then a pentatonic over the top of it. And now it's not all, you know, like I was showing you earlier, right? Like it's just one note after the other in these, right? Well, now you can start like that. Start with one of these, like a Mixolydian. And you've just done something that seems interesting and cool. And to somebody listening out there, they're probably like, "Oh, that's cool as hell." But it's really just a pentatonic scale over part of another major mode. You know?
Okay, before end, because we can keep talking and talking.
Oh shit, I can talk forever, man.
Yeah, and I know you have more guitars. And
About 25 more.
Yeah, but I want to ask you, what is your favorite album ever?
Fuck. You know, I couldn't even give you one. I couldn't even give you one. I listen to everything from like Meshuggah to Oznoy, and that is a huge range. Scott Henderson, You know, that's a huge range of people. Oh my God.
It's a
That,
hard question.
I couldn't even, if I had to come up with something that was probably one of the most pivotal type of albums, I would say that it would had to have been probably like Rest in Peace or Injustice for All. And then um, Vital Tectones 1 and Vital Tectones 2 from Vital Tectones, which is Scott Henderson, Steve Smith, and Victor Wooten. Um, I would say that would have to be those, as because I mean I never thought that I would that I guess I didn't think that I would, even though I went to school for classical guitar for a little while, I didn't think that I would be that good of a player. I don't even think I'm that great now. I think I just do what I do and I'm having fun with it and I don't give a shit. But I really wanted to understand what was going on, and those albums were things that I heard at the time that changed my view of what a guitar was, what music was, and what possibilities were, you know.
Thank you so much. And what album do you recommend uh, for beginners to listen that album? And it's really great for the guitar journey.
Depending on, I taught for 10 years, and I had students that were into all kinds of ridiculous things. I taught more freaking Hannah Montana and fucking Taylor Swift, and it literally made me want to kill myself. But I did figure out pretty rapidly that the simplicity of things like Taylor Swift and the simplicity of Hannah Montana type music is really something that would ignite people and really turn them on to wanting to get into something. And I would say if you want to be a rock musician and rock music is a thing for you, I would say if you're starting fresh, go listen to freaking Nirvana's Nevermind. I'm not a Nirvana fan. I'm really not. But there are really cool riffs in there that have the type of energy that make you feel the way you want to feel. And at the same time, things like the song Come As You Are, that has to be played a particular way. You can't beat down on the instrument. You have got to lighten your touch. It's teaching you dynamics. And I think that if you could play every freaking song on Nevermind, that you would have a very good start to being able to touch the instrument the right way and make the noise that you want to make and communicate the way you want to communicate, even if you don't know that you want to communicate yet.
Nice. Thank you so much for that advice. And I never expected for Taylor Swift, but it's the have all the sense, right? You need to start with simple things and start to growing up on your journey.
And I hate to say it, man, but Taylor Swift's songs, like it or not, you know, the content of her songs is not the point, but the execution of how the songs are arranged, how they're put together. You know, she has got the guitar thing down. If you're trying to be an acoustic guitar player, she's not a bad role model to have. You know, she's really good at it. Also, if you're into country music like Brad Paisley, that guy is probably one of the best guitar players on the planet. But he plays country music, and everybody hates country music, especially me. But that guy is an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, they have professional musicians. Yeah, and they know a lot about the instrument.
Yeah.
And that don't. Oh, that it's. I don't like that music. Uh, that means the professionals are doing that. They are sucks. No, they are good musicians and they know what they are doing on the instrument, right? Well, can we talk a little bit about your projects on music?
Yeah. Currently, I'm playing with a band called Gauntlet of Zeus, and it's like a thrash metal kind of slam band, you know. It's fast for a little bit, and then it just kind of gets the bottom knocked out, gets heavy as fuck, you know, hit you in the face kind of stuff. Um, I don't know why. That's just what I like to do right now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get together a little, like a 3-piece or 4-piece improvisational gig. Um, Guitar, bass, drums, and maybe a keyboard. just to, go out and play some of those improvisational type things that I like to do, which is like jazz, blues, fusion type stuff. Just kind of fun, you know. That's pretty much all I'm working on at the moment, besides building a rehearsal studio. As if that's not enough.
Oh, nice, nice. Um, well, if the money it's not a problem for you, well, you just talk. If I bought $10,000 guitar, I will not came back.
Yeah.
But suppose money it's not a problem. What guitar you will buy?
It's funny that you asked that question, because I turned 50 this year, and I'm like, okay, I am going to buy a really nice something guitar, like something amazing. Let me get something amazing that in my brain is expensive. That's what amazing means, is expensive. And I keep coming back to the same thing. It's like I'm literally about to buy a fucking another SL1. You know what I mean? Because it's not really about, like Kiesels. Everybody loves Kiesel guitars. Okay, they used to be called Carvin. That's what they were before that? They were Carvins. I didn't like Carvins. I like Jeff Kiesel as a person. Right? He's a nice guy. Yeah, I think he's great. I think his company is great. I don't like the guitars that they make. And they're expensive as shit. And I've played one or two, and I'm just like, you know?
Yeah.
The new BC Rich stuff is overpriced, and I've owned a bunch of them. So I can't really find anything from any of the boutique builders that I think would be better for me than just like a high-end SL1. You know?
You found your identity.
Yeah,
there.
just a soloist. Just give me a soloist, and like.
Ovi, thank you so much for being here, for accept this invitation for Guitar Memories. I really love your story and the way you express your passion, the way you express, the way you play the guitar, your love for SL1, yeah, and that kind of guitars. Um, um, where the people can contact you if they want classes or they want to talk with you about music or to hire you on performance or gig or something like that.
Well, I try not to teach anymore. Um, I think teaching for money is very soul sucking for me. But I am always down to have a conversation with anybody about guitar related anything. I don't charge anymore. I'm just like, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. What you get out of it is what you get out of it. You can catch me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. bwbridger.com is my website, but it's really a business related website. But you can still catch me off that. Email me if you want to, Brian at bwbridger.com. I'm available pretty easily.
Okay, thank you so much to being here, and I hope see you soon.
Of course.
And to see your band and be here on Jam Station. And
Yeah.
thank you so much. And
Right on, man. Put you a band together and come get a room next door.
oh, I will hire some people to
There you go.
jam. Thank you so much again, and thank you guys to being here on Guitar Memories, and subscribe, comment, and see you the next time with another great guitarist. This is Guitar Memories. See you. Keep playing. Thank you so much.